So first guys, I would like to talk a little bit about HEADHUNTER, because there is a lot of channels telling you that yeah, we have HEADHUNTER, but it doesn't matter, you can do this build without it, and I want to call bullshit on that. HEADHUNTER has the ability to make a lot of shitty builds look viable and pretty strong, but HEADHUNTER is really expensive. It's like 50 divine orbs from the beginning. I never saw it lower than that, and a lot of people don't have it, and you copying guides without the HEADHUNTER, and yeah, it's like nowhere near than you saw in the video. HEADHUNTER puts you in a completely different dimension. It's like a completely different game at that point. This is your first chase legendary item. You want to get it as soon as you can, because it makes your mapping like 10 times faster than before, and you arrive into the boss room with 30-40 buffs, and those are real buffs, hard buffs, and you just kill. Even in max juice maps, you kill the bosses pretty fast. It's a completely different game at that point, but most of the people, like 90%, 95%, don't have this. So in this video I wanted to show you a guide which don't use HEADHUNTER. I am still on the Oracle Wolf kind of path. I wanted to make a cool build guide about it, and I tested a lot of stuff. I think I kind of fixed the survivability issue, and we have a lot of damage without HEADHUNTER. I don't say this is a extreme cheap build. You had to have some divine orbs, of course, to make this build. Our most expensive stuff is the weapon. You need a good weapon for every class. That's not new. But other than that, it's kind of manageable even for the average player who has less time to play. And I think it's pretty fun. The only thing that maybe will be hard for a lot of people, the use of the skills, because there is a lot of skills here that we use. It's not your typical one skill abuser stuff. So let's talk about the build, but first just play with the dog a little bit. Okay, so there's a lot of things that is going on around here. We are using charge regulation, as the title said, because this gives us more critical hit chance. This is multiplier, and more defense, which is also nice, and increased skill speed, and we can maintain all these free charges pretty easily. So we have combat frenzy for the frenzy charges. Every time you freeze something, you're freezing all the time. To get endurance charges, you need to break armor, and Herald of Ice is just perfect for that. With this Uruk's smelting and the armor break free, this gives us endurance charges. We put more physical damage. It's not that high on physical damage, but it's high enough to give us endurance charges on the map, which is nice. And the power charges came from Walls Protector. This is a unique. Yeah, it's kind of low on armor and energy shield, but for now, this is the build. Maybe later we won't use this. Now I like it. The 20% more critical hit chance is really nice, because we are an Oracle, and with the inevitable critical hits, you always crit. But hits have 30% less critical damage bonus for each time critical hit chance was rerolled. So if your critical hit chance low, then it doesn't matter that you have this, because like two times less critical damage and you are almost have 0 plus damage on it. So you want high critical hit chance to maximize your damage. And with this on red, kind of the most important, because this is our boss killing stuff. We have... I have a buyer! Sorry. We have... Well, we use Garukan Resolve here. Yeah, so, but on the main hand we have 30%, and this is almost 40 when we are on the maps and we have power charge. So 40% is nice. Yeah, I know that Garukan Resolve is now at 24 divine orbs, I think. But this was an item early on that you could buy it for 6, 7, 8 for a long time. This was the first item I bought. I wanted to test it. Actually, I think we have a lot more damage this way. I tested with it and without it, so I'm using this. The other stuff is attack speed. We have rage, because when you arrive in the boss room, you are using Lunar Blessing. Before that, this consumes all your rage, so you will stack it up with Shred again. And Crescendo for more attack speed, rapid attacks, and Rigval's Ferocity. This is again just attack speed. On Pounce, This is a coolest ability. You just jump around, we have freezing mark, and I'm using shocking leap because the shock ground is nice. This is another important stuff here that I want to explain. So this whole wolf stuff would be much better on Pathfinder because you can have a lot of shock magnitude with Pathfinder. So this is not idle, sadly. You always want a lot of shock magnitude. That's like, this was before all the seasons. We now have 40%, kinda. We are changing to this in the boss room, as you saw it in the Xesht fight. So we are mostly cold damage and physical damage. We have a lot of cold damage on Lunar Assault, and most of the stuff, Shred and Cross Slash, is physical damage. So it's kind of hard to shock. So this shock ground is nice, but eventually with Shred you will shock the enemy, you have lightning damage on it, but it would be nicer to have a higher lightning damage to constantly shock even on map. Then we use Blazing Critical, more fire damage, efficiency, because it costs a lot of life, and Eternal Mark. Lunar Assault, again efficiency, rapid attacks, freeze, Ancestral Call, and this linear support gem gives us a lot of cold damage. And on bosses, you take out Ancestral Call and put Deep Freeze in because the 50% freeze duration is a lot, and with Shred you are doing these little ice fragments that explode. It matters a lot. You can hit it a lot of more times with the Deep Freeze. And then Cross Slash, I wish this was a little bit better. Sadly, with this kind of level, we are missing a lot of power, of course. So in the late end game with higher tier gear, I assume it's much better. But for now, you can kind of do around 2 or 4 million damage if every single line is perfect. We are using a lot of more damage multipliers on it, more critical damage bonus, and biting frost. So you need to kind of use this when in the last second on the freeze time on bosses, because yeah, you can read it, it's a lot of more, and this is all more, so this is all multipliers, so you can do a nice burst. I talked about Herald of Fights. We have Savage Fury. Again, this gives us 33% more damage. Lunar Blessing, as I said, we have Second Wind on it, prolonged duration, efficiency, rage, because I don't want to put rage on Lunar Assault, and with this and on Shred you can really get your rage back up on the maps, and cooldown recovery. And we have Arctic Howl. You want to use this when you freeze the boss. It's frozen. You use this and you start with Shred to have more empowered attacks. And we have Charge Regulation and Combat Frenzy. I talked these about. So already you can see we are using a lot of buttons that a lot of people won't like. But I think this is the GGG's vision to this game. I don't know, for now I like it, but as the time goes I kinda want to play other stuff, because it's a lot, and if you miss one of your window, then it's significantly less damage, so you really need to pay attention. So on the items, I have this weapon. It's like a 20-25 Divine Orbs weapon. You need plus level of all attacks, critical hit chance, increased attack speed, and mostly physical damage. And it would be nice if the cold damage would be lightning damage. That would be really nice because we want to shock the enemy. So try to have lightning damage on it. We are using this legendary or unique glove because immobilize enemies at 30% build up instead of 100%. This is huge, and they take 20% more damage. I like it, and it gives us increased skill speed. I talked about the body armor. The rest of the stuff here is actually just resist, energy shield, and armor, and damage and spirit on amulet, and the harmonic generator anointment, because this gives us increased magnitude of shock you inflict with critical hits. So you want to have really high magnitude of shock that you can get. You need life leech on ring, preferably on both. Actually, would be nice to have it on both or have it on, but you can solve it with cannibalism. And I have a jewel here with 2% maximum life on kill. It's fine. And on the tree we have this from nothing diamond. This gives us the radius in the CI. You can get these nodes. It's really important. Especially this hits ignore non-negative elemental resistance and frozen enemies. This is big. And the other stuff are damage. I really like this ascendancy with this skill this keystone passive stuff. It's just cool to get the big nodes. It's really nice. I want to do more builds with it, but I really stuck on this and I don't know why. Should have just went for something else, but anyway. Another important stuff is this jewel, the last one, Undying Hate, Timeless Jewel. This gives us a nice defense layer because with this, when taking damage from hits, 20% of life loss is prevented, then 150% of life loss prevented this way is lost over 4 seconds. So it's really try to stop the one-shots, and it actually works. You can do a lot of stupid stuff and survive it. I really suggest you to use this. I think it's around 4 or 5 Divine Orbs. It's not that much. Actually, my whole build is around 50 Divine Orbs. I think it's kinda Headhunter price. If we take that when I bought the Garukan, then it's even less lower, but it's fine. So on maps, it's actually kinda cool. You can do a bunch of shit with this defense layer. You can jump in, you can use Lunar Assault and Shred, and you can actually make it look like you're going through the whole map really fast. Actually, Wolf has a really nice movement speed, but you need to get used to it. So Shred is a gap closer, so you kinda get used to how to use it in certain situations. And then of course jump and Lunar Assault for the AoE clear. It's actually pretty fun, but there is a lot of clicking going on. But it's kinda satisfying in a way. It's much different than the one-click builds. So the skill order is when you are near to the boss room, stack up your rage and then go to the boss room, use Lunar Blessing beforehand, and when the boss nearly spawn, use Savage Fury also. You can jump to the boss and use a little bit of Shred to get your rage back, and then freeze it with Lunar Assault. Use Arctic Howl and then Shred, and then Cross Slash in the end for finish it. If you are fighting with a bigger boss, then no problem, and you don't have Headhunter, you have even lower gear than me, then you need to do this combo 2 times. And also there is a very big difference between juice maps. So you can juice a map fully, which still pretty easy, but there is some ways that you can make it really hard, like this one. I have 40% effectiveness on it, 50% more elemental resist, reduced damage from critical hits, gain damage as chaos damage, and we have low chaos resist. And everything that you really only want in your nightmare. So I wanted to put, oh, and this is a tier 17 map. So I wanted to put it here to watch the fight, but this also, if we would have Headhunter and we will be approaching this boss room with 30 or 40 buffs, it would be almost nothing. So the next step is I will buy a Headhunter, and then later there will be updates, or I will be doing something else, who knows. But thank you guys for watching, and as always, please subscribe and like this video, and leave a comment. Bye bye guys.